The title of my talk is The Eightfold Path, to Ethical Living. So we're starting a series again, though I'm starting it today, but we're going to be bringing in and focusing on the Eightfold Path for a little while. And we're going to come at it from a specific angle, and the angle is ethical living. And we're going to borrow words from a lot of other teachers, but I'm going to start off with some teachings from Akichino Weber and John Peacock. And they both teach out of the online Bodhi College, a secular Buddhist organization. So I'll start with a quote from them. According to the Buddha, one becomes noble by walking the Eightfold Path. Now, of course, I have to insert myself here just for a moment because walking is a metaphor, walking the path. But I just want to say, if you can't walk, hopefully you can use other instruments to help you walk, or other people can help you walk. You can be assisted to move, or even if you're lying down, the ethical path, the Eightfold Path will be applicable. And this is an ethical vision for how we conduct ourselves in the world, this Eightfold Path. It's also a way of life that gives back to ourselves and to others constantly. We're treading a path that leads to nobility. We are being ennobled somehow in the process, and that nobility expresses itself in ethical behavior. So some of the wording that's often used, nobility, has a kind of archaic language to it. It's often used with royalty here. It's, not something that we tend to use in our language. It also at the time was associated with a class system of being noble, somebody being elevated or having a higher birth than somebody else. And it had to do, similar today, often with wealth, appearance, material goods. Though the Buddha tried to flip that on its head and go in the direction of nobility was related to your intentions and actions, not your birth, not how many cows you had, not how many wives, and now you would look at it not as how famous you are or how much wealth you have, but to your ethical intentions and actions. And so we've changed the language too over time, just as they did here, in going into ennobling, and taking nobility and ennobling into the path of virtues. How do we develop virtue? And virtue in its verb form is ethical living. So with RM practice, with reflective meditation practice, we really have this strong emphasis on finding the Dharma in your meditative experience and then reflecting upon it. But we also then continue that reflection into our living. So the Dharma from our experience is compost. It's very rich compost that gets integrated into our lives. And then we meditate on it some more, and then we reflect upon it, and it goes back into our interactions. So I think what I'm trying to get at here is that virtue doesn't thrive on the shelf unused, that it really has to be grown in our interactions with ourselves and with others. And so one Buddhist way to think about this is that these are seeds within us that are seeds until they ripen, until we have a chance to act and move on them and interact. So with this rich inner compost, but within that compost there are virtues, but they need to be enacted to be seen. And I'm thinking about this compost right now more externally and visually, like seeing how things mix up in a compost. as the rains come down in the Palisades fire here, which is close, and how that rain will dampen the embers that are still burning and mix with what's left of the houses and all the materials and memories that people have lost from the fires and the people who have died in them. And it will start moving and mixing everything. So we're in a high alert here again of mudslides and things that are going to happen from the rain coming in. And it just feels like a huge mess down here, you all, and I'm still in it. And it really, it leaves me, it takes my breath away to see this happening and be in it real time, in real life, I think is some kind of a IRL, is some kind of I don't want to say meme, it's not a meme, it's a something. Okay. But I'm still in it, and it feels so tragic and unsafe for our area that at times I don't see the virtues in it, that it's just too big. So, of course, when that happens, we turn to the Dharma. So I'm going to go again now to John and Akichino's words. This is a little longer section. I'm under the impression that the Buddha's vision did not disregard the necessity for safety and wealth and forms of becoming successful in life. But he clearly states that as a basis for happiness and a basis for the vision of nobility, these things do not work. They're indispensable but not sufficient. Unless we're willing to embrace a vision of nobility that leads beyond these things, we are unlikely to be contented human beings, capable of looking out not just for our own well-being, but for the well-being of others. The Buddha's vision is very clear. And again, this is Akichino and John talking. Then unless we think about this and have great clarity about our values, we are likely to make choices in our lives that fall short of nobility. And that's why ethics is indispensable. We keep making choices even if we never think about ethics, but we'll make choices for lesser goals on the basis of lesser understanding if we don't think about ethics. The Buddha's insistence is that we need to direct our attention to these visions and these values and these goals unless we want to miss out on the opportunity to do what he calls growing. That's kind of what I wanted to get to, is that how are we growing within the Dharma? And this is the ending paragraph. In fact, if we think this through, we'll end up with the assertion that almost anything can be taken away from you. Your health, your wealth, your power, your capacities, but your virtues will not be able to be taken away from you. If you've lived and dedicated your energies to cultivating virtues, these will not be able to be taken away from you. So I'm really thinking about that. That's kind of where I'm landing, is like, it gives me something to hold on to in this mess, that I'm not taking it that my virtues are permanent, that they will be there forever, but that they won't be taken away from the messes that happen in my life, and that they offer an additional vision beyond safety, beyond wealth and success, beyond health, which I always think health is my most important value, especially after a flu for three weeks. And yet my health goes too. Skills and capacities lessen, but that our virtues won't be able to be taken from us. Question mark, exclamation point, something to consider. Okay.